races to go in session, and here's the first of them, the first repechage in the men's eights, and already through Germany, world champions, and Great Britain, very impressive. Great Britain going through directly from the heats. But now it's all a question of being in the first two of this race to qualify for the final. And, well, New Zealand gave the German world champions a right fright, Martin.
I'm looking at the splits now, and, you know, they were only fourth at 500 metres, but they rode the quickest middle 1,000 of any eight in that field. And they came through to lead with just 500 metres to go, and the Germans really had to sort of sprint to go through them. So if the form book is anything to go by from the first heat, the Kiwis are going to take this race. But the US are stepping on speed. The Canadians, well, they've got a pedigree. There's only two to go through. So I think between those three for two places.
Yeah, absolutely would agree with you there, Martin. New Zealand favoured, but the United States and Canada, it'll be interesting to see how they go. Russia right on the far side, then the United States. New Zealand in the centre of the echelon. Canada closest to Ukraine.
Well, you know, the start's going to be so crucial in this eight, and I think we could look to see the Canadians pile out because, you know, they didn't do that in the heat. I think I've got them off at 52 strokes a minute. You know, Mike Spracklin is going to have told them you need to go out really hard, really strong. The Kiwis, well, they can afford to just get into their rhythm. They've got a great pace mid-course, but look at what the Canadians are doing. Now, can they maintain that sort of pace, David?
Well, I think Mike Spracklin, he's great to talk to, Mike, because I think he's got a really good squad, and it's an improving squad, and his mind is on London 2012. Of course, he wants to do well. He'd love the crew to get into the final and shout for a medal. But Canada, of course, well, they won the Olympic title in 2008, and he would find it very sweet to bring a crew to London 2012 and win there. But it is the Canadians who've gone out fast, also the Americans. So Chris Korchanowski's US 8 on the far side, two from the top of your picture, and they're leading at the moment from New Zealand and Russia, who are pretty close together, with Ukraine just back of the 5.
See, the thing is, when you've got so experienced coaches like Chris Korchanowski and Tim, you know, the Canadians are up at 42. This is going to be a question of, you know, can they hold it? But basically, the received wisdom is you're going to lead at 500 metres by that much. It's tough for the rest of the field to come back. And I think it's going to be a bun fight between New Zealand and the Americans. And, you know, at the moment, fortune favours the brave, and Spracklin has got his Canadians to be brave. And so far, early advantage to them.
Yeah, New Zealand just beginning to make their impression on this race there, coming up stroke by stroke to get closer to the Americans. The Russians on the far side, I doubt they're going to be able to sustain this, and Ukraine are already not a factor anymore. And that's Mark Laidlaw, the coxswain of the Canadian 8 there. Just had a little look around to see where New Zealand and the USA were, and you can see they're within... half a length of the Canadians. But Canadian 8, they've got the first march on the whole field.
Yeah, the Americans we're looking at, we can look over and see the bowman David Banks there, but they are over at 38. Chris Korchanowski loves the way this crew moves at below 34. He didn't quite say they had enough experience up at 38 strokes a minute, but hopefully they will have got some from the heat, and you know, at the moment, that's why they're headed the New Zealanders. Very power-based stroke for the Americans. And, well, the Kiwis are going to have to show that middle 1,000 pace if they're going to be competitive here.
And just looking at that Canadian boat, too, from the top of your picture there, in the 7 seat, sitting behind the stroke there, Jason Reed, the one survivor from their gold medal winning crew of 2004 in Athens, the man who was involved as one of the rescue workers in 9/11 as a firefighter.
Ivan Pavic there, the Kiwi Cox. I mean, they've got to start moving. This is their territory now. You know, come on, New Zealand. If you want to do that, be there at the finish, you've got to do something in this third quarter. You've got to move. They will know that. And,
of course, the 8's the last race of the regatta, the finale blue ribbons, and they would want to be in the last race of the regatta, wouldn't they?
38 strokes a minute, and they are moving on the Americans. And look what's happening to the Canadians. Everyone's coming back on the Canadians.
Indeed.
Whoa, what a finishing prospect.
Yeah, 3 for 2 places, that's all it is. And you sense that the momentum at the moment could well be with the New Zealanders. They're beginning to really believe here in this third quarter. And Canada, looking as if they might be in trouble here, because the Americans on the far side are far from out of this, and these three crews are very shortly going to be in line, aren't they?
You love that as a Cox, because you call in, I'm coming back to them, I've got their three-man, I've got their four-man, you know, give me them. And there's a look across from Anthony Jacob, the Canadian bowman. You know, there's nothing they can do now. They've made their play. They've just got to hang in there. What a great last 500 metres. Who's going to be the first two in this one?
Closest to you, Canada. Two away, the Black Vests of New Zealand. On the far side, the United States. Three in line. Only two go through to the Sunday final here of the men's eights. This is only the first of the repêchages. They will join Germany and Great Britain, whoever they are. And now New Zealand moving up again.
Yeah, New Zealand just going through in front, and Canada dropping back with the USA. I think it's going to be USA and Canada. Chris Korzeniowski's going to beat Mike Sprackling, but the Kiwis, well, what a middle third 500.
It is indeed, and Dave Thompson and Mark Stallard, who look after this New Zealand eight together, and this is what they wanted to see, the finishing pace here of the Kiwis to get ahead of the Canadians, and if they can stay ahead of the Americans, they'll want to win this, the New Zealanders, if they can. Qualify, yes, but win it if you can, and now it's within touching distance, and they're on their feet in the stands and on the grassy banks there. This is the home eight here for New Zealand. This men's eight, made up of a couple of fours that were in Lucerne, finished second and fourth there, but this is an effort here that's going to see them through to the final. The Canadians have got no more to give, and it's New Zealand. It's just a question of who crosses the line first. The Kiwis with that bow in front. It's going to be on the surge here. It's going to be very close. They come towards the line. United States on the far side. New Zealand on the near side. Whoa. United States probably, Martin.
Tell you what, yeah, great result for the States. All credit to Korzeniowski and brave Canadians, you know, and they made their play. They went out and did what Sprackling asked them to do. They didn't quite have the beans to hold it together. But I have to say, you know, in terms of the New Zealanders, they held their nerve too. But I'll tell you who's enjoying watching this, David. The British and German crews that qualified from the first heat. I mean, they are through already. They don't have the pressure of this race to go through, and you know, their probably hearts will be in their mouths a little bit, but they'll be so glad they're not in here.
Yeah, but you know, as you say, Chris Korzeniowski, credit to the Americans there, because it's a reorganised eight, and the Kiwis, well, they're not going to be really disappointed, are they? Because I mean, they're relatively inexperienced, and you know, they now know they're in the World Championship final. They're going to be joyful.
The job for this race is to get to the final.
Yeah.
I mean, so you know, they're going to be exhausted, as we can see there from the Kiwi two-man Tyson Williams.
And you talk about Germany and Great Britain, okay, but somebody, if you know, if you're suggesting that the gold and silver is going to be between them, somebody's got to win the bronze.
I'm not suggesting the gold and silver is going to be between them. I think the Americans have come on. They're improving race by race. Korzeniowski will think they can improve and maybe go on to win. I mean, you know, we saw the Canadians, they did some brave stuff. I mean, someone's going to go out and be brave, and it's going to pay off for them. And I don't take it as a given Germany's going to win. Britain, probably to my mind, are rowing the best of any crew I've seen out here, technically. But, you know, they had that in the Beijing Olympics, and the Canadians took the title. The Canadians took the title off them. So it's not a given who's going to win gold in this event.
Really gutsy effort. As you can see here, you can just line up there the finish line, and yeah, the Americans just ahead of the Canadians, but they're well clear, ahead of the New Zealanders, but they're well clear of Canada. So those two are safely through. We now know 4 of the crews in the final, just one race to come to decide the other participants. 5:38.48, the time for the USA. So a couple of minutes to the start of the second repêchage, and these crews will have been delighted not to have been